Welcome to this new episode of The Disabled Life. The purpose of this podcast is to tell people how I live my life. The name I'm using on the podcast now is The Disabled Guy, because I felt that you needed to hear something as opposed to just my voice there. I'm a disabled male living in Florida with cerebral palsy. I'm here to tell you how I live my life and some of the volunteer work that I do and how I managed to do it with cerebral palsy. Without further ado, let's go into the episode. What I want to talk to you about today is something that happened to me at a local mall one time. For those of you that don't know, I have cerebral palsy, and I sit in a wheelchair. And I sit in a wheelchair, and also for those of you that don't know, I am an amateur radio operator. At that time, I had just gotten my license. I was excited about it, so I carried a handheld, which is like a walkie-talkie everywhere. And I went to the mall with Mom, and she went to buy shoes. I said, "What?" I said, I don't want to go in there and buy shoes. So I was sitting in there in the mall, outside the stores, waiting for Mom to come. So I was talking to somebody on the radio, and I was happy to do that. So I'm sitting there, and a person, a middle-aged person, not a young child or anything of that nature, just an older person, an adult, came to me and said, "Oh, you can talk." Obviously I can talk because I'm sitting here talking to you right now. So she was very, very weirded out because I was able to talk. So I asked her, why are you weirded out? I didn't say the word weirded out, but I'm thinking, this person's weirded out because I'm talking. So I'm like, oh God, what's happening? So then she tells me that she assumes that anybody with cerebral palsy or in a wheelchair cannot talk. I said, no, that's obviously not true, because I'm here talking to you right now. So she goes away. A couple weeks, so she goes away. I felt good because I educated her about that, because people don't know. But still, that to me is very ignorant. She saw me speaking to a radio, and she says, "You can talk?" Like with an astonishment in her voice. I'm like, "Yes, I can." No, that was funny. So then another day, I went back to the same mall again. So this time was different. Again, I was waiting for my Mom outside the mall. She was buying clothes or shoes again. She was looking at shoes again, I think. So then that day was different. I didn't have a radio with me that day, but anyway. So let me talk about this one. So all of a sudden, I'm there, just hanging out, just waiting for Mom to come. I'm paying attention to people, but I'm not really paying attention, if you know what I mean. So then all of a sudden, this little girl comes up to me and touches my wheelchair. She's 3 years old. And so all of a sudden, this person runs over and pulls her away. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm a person that was born with cerebral palsy. I don't know any different. So I was like, what is going on? I didn't realize what was happening. So then I spoke to the little girl. I told her, look, I spoke to the teenager. It was a teenager later. I realized it was a teenager. So then I said to her, why did you do that? She said, oh, because I thought you were going to get angry. I'm like, no, if they're curious, and that's okay with me. And then, she left, and I I kind of followed them because I wanted to talk to her more. I wanted to sit with them and talk to them. So they went into this mall pizza shop. So I didn't want a soda, but I went and I bought me a soda. The reason I went and bought a soda is I wanted to sit with them and talk to them. So I went and said hello to the mom and, did all this. And then, talked to the teenager and the mom. So I explained to them that I was born with cerebral palsy, that I understood why she was afraid, because some people that are not born with the problem, they're upset because they're mad at the world and they take it out on us. It's been taken out on me myself. I've been told, why are you so happy? And I'm like, because I am happy. There's no problem with me. I am not mad. I am not mad at the world. The world is the world. So I'm okay with that. So the moral of the story is here for people that are not disabled and children. I don't mind it. So then I spoke to them. I talked to them for the better part of an hour or 2 hours to see what their thought processes were. Because, I like to educate people when people do this and act like this, because, they don't know any different. So then, I talked to the girl for a while, and then, I talked to her for like another hour or so. I left, but I was happy. I was happy that I was able to educate her. So I say, look, if a child goes up to the person in a wheelchair, they're curious. Maybe they haven't seen a wheelchair ever. That was the case, and I understand that. That was the case. I get it. So, moral of the story is, be careful. Watch your kids, but also take our reactions and our actions as disabled members of the community into account when you decide what it is you want to do. Of course, if the person is upset and mad, don't let your child stay there, because then it makes things worse. So what I'm saying is, just be cognizant. We're not all made of the same cloth. I'm going to use that word analogy. We're different people. We are people that decide what we want to do. And I've been, it's been a while, but I was just remembering this story, and I thought I wanted to bring it up to you so you would know, because this story is here. This is the only way we can educate the community at large. It's gotten better. I'm sorry, there's people outside my window, and they're yelling. It's the little children. Let me go back to we, as disabled members of this community, we need to educate people on how we want to be treated. It depends on what you are. I was born with a brain injury. That's what it is. That's what cerebral palsy is. It's a lack of oxygen in brain injury. So I was born this way. So I've known no different. I was also born at 7 months. I was born extremely premature. So yeah, it's one of these things where the doctors didn't think that I was going to be able to do the things that I was going to do, that I'm doing now. Luckily, my voice didn't get affected. Because if my voice would have gotten affected, I could not be doing this, because my voice is clear. So I have a friend of mine that I will not name because I didn't get permission to use his name. He was telling me that he wanted to do a podcast, and I said, why not? Because his voice is affected. For example, I'm going to add this to a bit of information. I walk with a walker. I'm not confined to a wheelchair. So I get in and out of my chair. I get in and out of regular vehicles. I've been known to be getting a huge truck with a friend of mine, but he needs to help me do that, which is great, just fine. He has no problem doing that. So it's one of these things that each person is different. I know somebody else that has cerebral palsy, and what happened to him, he He walks, works, does it all. He's married, and he is all that happened to him is he has a limp in one leg, and I'm gonna say what he does for a living, or used to do. I don't know if he still does this. He used to be an ADA inspector for Miami-Dade County, which is the county where I live in. With that, thank you for listening, and I'll see you back on Wednesday with a special episode that is kind of emotional for me. I think I'll do it Wednesday. I'm not sure yet, but this is Thursday. I'm gonna sit down tonight again and record another episode, which I normally don't do, but I'm gonna go ahead and record that because it's fresh in my mind, and that's the way it should be. That's the way I'm gonna do that one. So with that, let me give you my email address and where you can follow me. My email address is ke4key@gmail. Please feel free to contact me there with show ideas, tips. Constructive criticism is great. I'm also on Twitter at the Disabled Guy. I'm on GoodPods also, and I am on the following platforms: Spotify. I'm also on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and others there. I need to compile a list again, and that way I can tell you what they are. So please feel free to follow me and subscribe to my podcast so you know when I put out episodes. With that, thank you for listening.